how did you negotiate school and take your public exams and go on to do engineering?
I was good at art, and the natural choice would be to take up an art career. And in fact, after my 12th, I actually gave architecture exam, so which was most of it was drawing.
Right.
So and actually I scored very well. In fact, there was a school called JJ School of Arts in Mumbai, and I actually got a good rank to get into it. But while I was giving the exam, I was like a little bored. And what I felt was that as I was growing up, I was actually inventing things for myself. And because they were like small things, but then I felt like I'm like constantly doing something new, discovering things for myself, and I wanted to do that. And that's where persuasion from that to science. And the engineering college, or the college which I chose, was the only reason which I chose was it was near to my house.
Okay.
So actually I had this entire routine, right? So because it took me more time than anybody else to even get through like the regular schoolwork or do anything from that sort. So I needed all that extra time. So I was like waking up at 5, and as I said,
there was nothing premeditated about. You didn't think of the pros, cons, nothing.
No, I just like I knew that I had to kind of invent things. I was
so
inventing.
The invention was the
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, at that point in time, I mean, at least for me, I didn't have a lot of idea.
Okay.
So it was the choices were medicine and engineering when I was growing up, right? Like apart from the architecture and like the other art forms. So yeah, so I actually did my medical exam too, and then I was getting a seat in Wardha, which is like a college, medical college, which is in Maharashtra. So I grew up in Mumbai, so there way, and then that required me to go to another city, and I was like, no, that will not work. So that's how that's how I got into engineering. And in fact, after that I did my B school, which again was like in 1 kilometer radius. And in fact, I got into the company which I am currently also, because the only reason I chose it because it was again in that 1 kilometer radius. I thought I can go home for lunch and come back.
Okay.
But then destiny had like very different things planned for me, and I was posted in Chennai and then traveling across the globe. So yeah,
and your this is what is fascinating. So the same routine that you had in school, you had it also in your engineering college?
So interesting. So not so much. Not so much. Not so much, because what happened in engineering, that it shifted. So once you're kind of done with school, you've figured out a lot of things. And when you go to engineering, the way things are more conceptual, and they are taught as a concept, right? So that kind of really helps. When I was growing up in school, I did not understand a lot of the concepts which were taught from a math perspective also. And in fact, like many years later, there was this Khan Academy.
Right, Khan Academy. Yeah.
Yes. So there, I was actually looking at some of the videos, and they were explaining about acceleration. And actually, I had tears in my eyes, because like all these years, I had like a different idea of it. And they had like a very visual way in terms of how you can look at acceleration, and then there is this car going, and then there is the boy going, and how do you kind of find out, why do you find out, like how much. So all of it was just amazing.
So engineering college, you were able to navigate because everything was in the concepts form, right?
Correct. It was in the concepts form. And then all the other pieces I had already figured out, right? Like, if the teacher spoke, I wrote it down, and math, I kind of colored it. So it then got into a framework, right? So like write it down everything, and then if you can convert it into a formula, color it and memorize it.
So you figured out your own way of navigating after school.
Yes.
And also see, in your engineering course, when you're doing your engineering, what were the subjects? See, so you chose your branch of engineering.
Yes. So I was in IT. I was in IT engineering.
So which aspect of which subject or branch of IT you were excelling in, where other people were struggling in that same area?
Very interesting. So I think cryptography was something which I actually liked, and then AI was another one, and then actually even database.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
and I don't know. I mean, like I don't know what the relation is, but these were the ones which I really did well.
and your classmates were struggling.
Yeah, I mean, like depends. I mean, some were struggling, some were, but I remember doing well in those.
And it wasn't too much of a struggle for you.
Yeah, it wasn't too much of a struggle for me.
Okay. So, no, that's interesting because this is higher order thinking skills, right? So when you're thinking in 3D, easier for you because of your dyslexic. So for the management school, how was that?
Yeah, so I mean, in fact, it was much better because
Okay.
at that point in time, it is the concepts are more interpersonal, and
Right.
there are behavioral, and a lot of those. So which I felt was like I had actually something which I loved, and I had like it was my strength. So yeah.